What's good, y'all, and welcome to this new series where I answer your comments that have been left on this channel in the last 7 days, from Sunday to Sunday. This is supposed to turn into a weekly thing, but only if you all like it, and if not, I'm just gonna scrap it. So here we go with... Alright, now the next question is very interesting. Do you think he could block Lust whipping him to trigger his counter attack? Because that would definitely take his damage during these down phases of the guild boss where he doesn't attack anyway to the next level. So let's have a look. Does it count as direct damage? We bring in all our main actors, right? We bring in our main actors. We let him do his first attack. It's really whatever. And then we trigger his stance. We trigger Lust. Let's see, can she hit him? Okay, now this is a bit inconclusive. Some of you might have seen the solution already, but I wasn't quite able to spot if he did get hit by her or the guild boss. So let's do that again, and this time without the chance of anybody dying. It's an interesting concept. If Lust damage counts as damage, and also would she give him rage, right? So that's what we're here for. Would she give him rage, and would it count? Which means we just wait for the boss to go into his down phase, because there's then no chance of him to actually get hit by him in any form. It's just gonna take a bit longer. Alright, so here we go. Dragon Claw should be the last attack. Yep. And we activate his ult, we activate Lust. Yes! Lust can trigger Kigiri's ultimate. I thought so, but I didn't want to speak about it before we've seen proof. Like, holy shit. Like, obviously it's not perfect chance, right? But especially with the Awakenings and the ultimate ready, you can definitely trigger Kigiri's ultimate without the boss having to attack him, which is absolutely amazing. With episode 1, kind of like a recap of the most interesting questions or comments left under the first 5 heroes we showcased. So let's start off with, yep, Lord of the Flies has a crappy range for the Invic buff. It is kind of something that I've seen in multiple variations multiple times. So let's actually have a look at how we can properly make use of his range and the kind of limitations it brings, in a sense. So yeah, let's check out this range, let's check out the limitations, and let's compare him versus Dolores. So overall, factually speaking, Dolores has a single placement. Dolores can only be placed like this, and Dolores will always boost the same tiles. So Dolores can always only boost up to 5 ranged and 3 ground tiles. There's a couple variations you can make use of this, for example placing a holo outside because a holo doesn't need the inspiration boost and the like. But overall, this is how you place a Dolores. Now with the Lord of the Flies, and yes, I am potentially awaiting, trying to not name him for later part of this video. So yeah, we have our range here, and we also have Laura here. That is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Everybody should have seen this formation somewhere, and then we have multiple placements for our units. So overall, the max number of fighters we can go with a Dolores is 3. So if we now remove Dolores, we could, for example, place him down like this. If we place him down like this, what you're going to notice is we still cover all the same tiles that Dolores covered. We even cover this tile down here that Dolores didn't reach, but in exchange for one more platform tile, we did lose a ground tile. So what you could do in this formation right here would be placing in a holo like this, and then your Hex, Sealers. We technically even got one more tile, and your Yova. And what you're going to notice is that you now have 3 primary DPS around Laurel rather than just the ability to get 2, because for example only Setram would be able to hit the boss from down here as it would normally be the case. So yeah, that is for example one of the benefits. You could also place another DPS at the top here and he would be able to get some extra damage boost. So overall, if we take a look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ranged DPSs. We would then even have the ability to take out Laurel, put in a 6th ranged DPS, and would then just have to fill the void with a fighter. But at least in this composition, as you can see, you can only have 1, 2 fighters, which works reasonably well for every team that is not Nightmare. Now, if you want to use them in a Nightmare team, you can kind of do the same thing. So what we're gonna do here is we can have Laurel take technically even a position that isn't really seen because it's kind of like new. So we would have Laurel up top here with the Lord of the Flies right here. And then we have our ranged damage dealer, another ranged damage dealer, Hollow, and then we would have the ability to place our fighters right there. And every one of these fighters would be an inspiration range, and also you're getting inspiration to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles. So keep in mind this is 6 tiles, getting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles getting the boost. And if we now take a look at your standard Dolores placement, because you can only really do it with the Dolores, you have your Dolores right here, you place in your Laurel, and you're going to count. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, not quite, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But basically you have one more range tie that gets the boost, alright? And now let's for the final part show it off with a couple fighters. Alright, so let's then place in our units. So we have Laurel right here. We got my man Lord of the Flies over here. Let me see, can I even count? Yeah, it's still 6. All good. So we then have Laurel and Arrogance all getting the boost. We can even place in a Volker, place in our primary DPSs. The placement of Hollow doesn't really make a difference. And then for example, we would be able to pull Laurel, activate all these ultimates, and then put in like another swap unit, like for example Yova, or even technically a 4th fighter, because if you look at his range, you're going to notice that he reaches all the way over here. So we could also put in Torador, and Torador would even get the inspiration. Or even better, for those that do not have a Torador, your Wrath would be able to get inspiration. So that's like one of the potential teams where you have 2 fighters that get the rage boost rather than 1, which is obviously way better if you're mainly relying on your ground units to do the damage. Alright, on to this next one, and apparently I've completely butchered his name in this video, so we'll listen to what I called him in the video, and then we'll try to correct it based on your comments. Welcome to the first of 8 showcases to see if he truly is BEELZEBUB, the Lord of the Flies. Showcases yet to come. We are going to tackle BEELZEBUB, the Lord. BEELZEBUB. I mean, okay, it's not perfect, but it doesn't sound nearly as bad. Then let's check out the comment. This might be an annoying message to some people, but it's about how to pronounce him. It's BEELZEBUB. The question is, how long are the spaces, right? Like, it's like BEELZEBUB. I don't know. I hope this was better and kind of pacified some of you. But yeah, enough of this. Alright, so let's stay on the topic of BEELZEBUB. And yeah, so there's 2 comments. Number 1 is he is built for attack speed. If you had given him attack speed, he would have surely beaten out Dolores. And number 2 refers to his initial range. So we're going to test both and see what the outcome is. Right here we have 370 attack speed with, very important, 25.5% rage regen, okay? Beelzebub A0, 370 attack speed, putting him down to a 1 second attack interval with maxed out skills, so the periodic rage regen is maxed out. Next off we have Dolores, also gear only half there, but very important, 25.5% rage regen, okay? And into the fight we go. So first off, we'll have a look at the same scenario we tested, where we still ignore the initial rage and then we do it with the initial rage. So we'll just let it run through. And my main reasoning for most of the initial rage is also, let's say in Guild Boss 1 you're specifically waiting for other ultimates to be ready to then trigger your Dolores alongside of these units, which is kind of always the case. You really want your inspiration to go with other units, so it doesn't necessarily make as much of a difference when exactly their ultimate is ready, as long as it's ready when you want it to be. But yeah, here we go. We trigger both at the same time. We can fast forward time. You all know that my man Beelzebub over here has way higher attack speed than Dolores, because Dolores can't even do anything with attack speed. And there we go. Dolores triggers her talent, 1 in 5 chance of it failing, so 80% of the time she's going to trigger it. And what you're going to notice is that she is basically able to keep her lead. It's obviously not quite the same, but right here she triggers her ult while he is only up to 80%. So we'll just do it one more time and then I'll explain the reason why. Because there's a very specific reason why Beelzebub in 99% of cases at A0 won't be able to catch up to a Dolores. So right here you've seen her talent trigger again, and you can kind of see the gap is only widening. And now you might be wondering, but why is the gap widening? Isn't he getting so much attack speed? Shouldn't he be way faster than Dolores? And here we have already a 40% difference. We just let it run one more time for like cinematic effect, you know? And then I give you the reason why. So here we go. Dolores triggers again. He is half in his ultimate. And now let's go to the explanation. Let's have a look at how much rage does he start with, right? He starts with 0. Why does he start with 0% rage? It has to do with the inherent effect of rage, and also it is the reason why certain awakenings and also certain heroes are so powerful. So let's look at this difference, right? It is A0 versus A5 Dolores. Dolores is at 72, he's at 6. She's basically going to get at least one more ultimate out than he does. But yeah. So you can see he starts on 0% rage. And it has to do with rage gained on attack versus percentage rage gained. So the reason why Beelzebub's A3 is what takes him past Dolores has to do with this right here. His basic attack deals damage to the target, he restores 2% rage. This 2% rage he restores counts past his ultimate. So we all know about like overcharging rage, which basically refers to, for example, let's pick Hollow, right? Hollow is pretty simple. We have Hollow. Hollow's ultimate is 20 seconds and she gives us 1.4% rage per second, so 28%. The trick is you always want to trigger your character's ultimate, which means the ult bar turns orange. If the ult bar is orange, that means you can start overcharging the rage, which means in an example of while Xaris has his ultimate, while Beelzebub has his ultimate that goes for 22 seconds, we also let Hollows run alongside of it. And then when Beelzebub's ultimate ends, he won't start at 0, but he will start at 28%. The same effect goes for Laurel, where you wait for the ultimate to turn orange to then pull her out, so they start at 50%. And that's also the reason why Dolores is so strong, because even though Dolores doesn't regenerate rage in her ultimate, she still effectively generates 30% of her ultimate while she is in her ultimate with this talent right here, because as soon as the ultimate ends, you restore at 80% chance, obviously, you restore 30%. So what's going to happen in like high-end guild boss comps is Xaris is going to have his rage regen, but you know how there's these phases where you trigger your Dolores, you pull your Lore, you activate your Holo, and then your Dolores runs out, and you can trigger her again. That is because her 80% talent procced and took her from 70% rage regenerated throughout Holo's ultimate and Laurel's ultimate, so 50% from Laurel, 28 from Holo, takes her from 78 to 100, allowing you to insta-trigger the ultimate. That is never going to happen with the A0 Beelzebub. He will always come out of his ultimate with at maximum 78% out of 100 rage. So especially in like higher guild boss levels and stuff where you really want to trigger her consecutively, if you do not have a extra source of rage regen, he's not going to be able to keep up. Now, you could also fix Xaris and his problem with rage regen by giving him this. Restores 7.5% rage for every 5 attacks, which should work while his ultimate is active. The only issue is the base stats are shit and it doesn't have the Tear of Twilight boost. And without the Tear of Twilight boost, Beelzebub can't really keep up. Now that is also the last thing we're going to talk about Beelzebub for, and that is his base stats. There has been like requests to, for example, increase his base stats so that he's better. Keep in mind, the developers have to balance him with the Tear of Twilight in mind. If they make his attack too much, like let's say they put it up to 3500, Tear of Twilight is going to be way stronger. And then what they'll have to do is they'll have to reduce the inspiration accordingly, so to make sure that someone with the Tear of Twilight doesn't just get like a million attack, and that is going to screw over the people that have him but can't afford to run the Tear of Twilight on him. So yeah, that's the last we're going to talk about Beelzebub, and let's get into the other questions. Alright, so here we are in the gallery, and when I showcased the 8 new heroes, there were multiple comments referring to characters that I didn't talk about, but they weren't able to find in their own gallery. Like for example here, at 159, who is that mage? Top row, third from left, I don't see in the global gallery. So let's go over the 2 heroes that y'all are wondering who they are. So right here we have Celine. Celine is a decent character. If you want to, you can read through her kit right here. It is nothing special, it is nothing crazy, and it is nothing leaked because she's already out on Forerunner for quite a while. But overall, she is a half decent fusion. That is very important. She is a fusion character that the developers could give us at any point in time, the same way we got a Crowdor. And that's kind of the end of it. They might give her a rework, they might not. So that is Celine for you. And now for the mage that y'all talked about, right here y'all wanted to know who is that blonde girl, Karosa. Now Karosa is the worst hero in the entire game, bar none. Worse than Krag, worse than Shamir. I'll give you a glimpse at the kit, but keep in mind she is a fusion, but we never want her to appear on global with this kit because it would just be a waste of time. Like for example right here, 2300 attack makes you think of an inspiration unit. If we have a look, there is no inspiration in here. So here you can see the talent, here you have the basic attack, here you have the ultimate, here you have passive, and then the another passive. Alright, now for a Kigiri related question. How come he wasn't inflicting bleed on Guild Boss 1? Now that is a very interesting one, and let's actually get to the depths of it, because I was at least also slightly stumped as I took a look at the quest. So let's put him in an AMR right here. We also give him a Vortex just so he can at least have a chance at surviving. And then he's gonna do his basic attacks. He might summon a unit. And then for the second slash we block it, right? We block it, we charge in, we do the big damage, and then we have the bleed, right? We have the bleed is here, bleed does its damage, everything is fine, life is Gucci, everything is well. But apparently the same thing doesn't happen for Guild Boss. The question would be why? So let's go to Guild Boss, check it out, see if he actually inflicts bleed, if it was just a mistake at the time. and then potentially try to either together or I myself will try to figure out the reason why. So here we go, we bring him in. I know I shouldn't have picked the easy difficulty, it is what it is, alright, it should be fine. So we bring him in, we fast forward time. Dragon Claw hits us, not that important. Oh yeah, for whatever reason he seems to be immune to damage in Guild Boss. Like, I don't know if you've noticed it at all in the showcase, but I'm pretty certain he's immune to damage in Guild Boss. Okay, so here we do have the bleed. So the bleed is real. Let me actually test that theory right now. Is he immune to damage in Guild Boss? Because I am somewhat certain from the test footage. Like I briefly mentioned it in it, but I haven't really seen him take any damage from the Guild Boss, like at all. So let's give it a look and see if I'm talking nonsense. So here we have the Inferno Roar. Okay, he does take the damage. Now I wanted to try something else. We have the Meteorite Impact. We obviously blocked the Meteorite Impact. So we did successfully do our block. Is he now immune to damage? Which would be like kind of like my theory after block. No, okay, he does actually take damage. So must have been just me. Maybe we were dashing at the proper timings. So at least he's not invulnerable. Alright, so a Xaris related comment. I feel like you undervalue his A1 a lot. It sounds like the most one of the most powerful A1s in the game. What he's referring to is Xaris summons 3 Swords of the Damned when he first gets deployed, and now he summons 5. Big issue with that one is it's only on the first deployment, so if you were to retreat him and then pull him back in, it wouldn't trigger. Now let me give you the best example of what a Xaris can actually do, but somewhat, right? So here we go, we bring in Constance, give her that extra rage that she needs, bring in Xaris, activate her inspiration, he summons his dudes, we summon some more, and then there you go. This is how you do AMR like an expert, right? So yeah, the fastest time I was able to get was 11 seconds. 11 seconds on AMR, which then sped up with Power of Dominance looks like this. So yeah, arguably Xaris has the biggest on-burst deployment, and something else I played around with in Guild Boss was him and his ability to, within the first 30 seconds of his deployment with the right setup, being able to do 100 million damage. The only issue is he doesn't get it back, right? His 5 summons when he gets deployed again. And also, but it does reset his ult, right? So for those curious, yes, if you do take him off and put him on again, he's going to start at 4 Souls of the Damned. He just doesn't get that first deployment bonus anymore. Kind of like how yeah. However, Noma also only works with a Lord bonus on first deployment, which would obviously be way stronger if it was for all deployments. Alright, so this concludes the first episode of answering your comments. If you want to be featured in the next one, feel free to leave a comment under any video within the next week. Could be an older one, could be a new one. And if it is an interesting question, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be video related, we'll check it out in the next episode of Answering Your Comments. Peace out. Bye bye.